Okay, everybody, I'm back with more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, a new solo gate. So I'm gonna hop into it, and I managed to get the, all the cards I need for my Kaiba deck. So, well, except for one, that's not slot machine, but that bingo machine thing. I don't have that, unfortunately, but I can make do. Anyway, let's check out the gate. Inside a steep valley, perpetually shrouded in mist, dwell those who could manipulate the wind. They too will make their mark on the history of warfare and find themselves embroiled in an epic battle. The Mist Valley sprawls out as far as the eye can see, dividing up the great land. It's impossible to see the whole breadth of it at once due to ever-present mist. Dwelling within are winged beasts who travel freely along the valley's ridges, and a humanoid tribe who strongly resemble birds. The latter are impeccable warriors, yet do not seek to expand their influence or domain. Their way of life is a proud one. They are respectful of their old traditions and remain in the valley from birth until death. Mist Valley's environment is harsh, all the more so because of the lack of visibility. However, in the era in which various tribes were expanding militarily, it was not uncommon for rivals to make incursions. When their numbers were small, the valley's inhabitants did not lift a finger. Such is the depth of the valley and the thickness of its fog. Outsiders had no hope of ever reaching their settlements or even finding their way out. And so would-be invaders met with unfortunate ends, all while the valley folk went about their everyday lives. The handful fortunate enough, or rather unfortunate enough, to stumble upon a settlement were dispatched by the elite warrior units that were the pride of the valley. On a few occasions, the valley came under attack from major alliances of barbarians. However, if the bird folk and the winged beasts ever found themselves overwhelmed, they turned to a mist worm. These were colossal creatures that had lived in the valley since before anyone could remember. Each was a lone creature that circled a fixed route for dozens of years, if not hundreds. Even after all these years, no one has yet found a means of communicating with them, nor worked out how they managed to survive. They can, however, be interacted with. They respond to flutes, whistle-bearing arrows, and certain orbs that emit glaring light. The valley's inhabitants take advantage of this to redirect them. Originally, this was only done to ensure that mistworms did not bulldoze through settlements as they proceeded through their tunnels. But in the era of strife, the valley folk needed novel measures. They used the mistworms to thoroughly obliterate hapless invaders. And so, for many years, Mist Valley remained peaceful. That is, until the extraterrestrial invaders arrived, the Worm Menace. Let's get some practice done. Okay. So, got the cards that I need, which is for Eyes of Blue, Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons, Majesty of the White Dragon, Spirit with Eyes of Blue, Indigo Eye Silver Dragon, Maiden of White, Neo Kaiser Seahorse, Chronicles Sorceress. Oh, right. And of course, Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. So, should be pretty good. I still need a Fang of Critias. I'm sorry, it just bothers me that I don't have Fang of Critias. Because I want my Doom Virus Dragon, for God's sake. I got Hermos and Timaeus. Why do not have Critias? don't know how confident I am utilizing this deck for competitive stuff, but I'll at least give it a try. With the arrival of the worms from a distant star, Mist Valley's peace began to disintegrate. Countless numbers of them poured into the valley, and the bird folk and winged beasts fought them tooth and nail. However, it was only enough to stay the worm, not to fully eradicate them. The valley remained worm-infested. Its labyrinth terrain and persistent mist were supposed to act as defenses, but not with the worms. Unable to get out, they ended up gathering and they created nests. The valley folk burnt these to a crisp whenever they found them. Yet these nests only seemed to increase in number, allowing the worms to launch raids that made it as far as the settlements. It was proving too difficult to pin them down and eliminate them. Despite every effort, the valley folk could not purge the invaders, even with the help from the mist worms. They had come to an impasse. The leader of the warriors, Mist Valley Thunderlord, realized the bird folk and winged beasts were outmatched. There were other tribes outside the valley with which they had relations, and he resolved to request their aid. This was how the Ally of Justice came into being. It was a network of mutual aid, and it greatly bolstered Mist Valley's security. Finding nests became a rare occurrence, and the valley folk found themselves with the upper hand on their home turf. However, just as plans were being made for an offensive to fully eliminate the worms, Mist Valley withdrew from the Ally of Justice. What could have driven such a decision? One day, the warrior chief Mist Valley Thunderlord found out about an experiment of the Ally of Justice were performing. A weapon test involving the use of the Gen X, who were voiceless and could not object. Although he kept it secret, this sowed a seed of doubt in his heart about the Ally of Justice operations. He remained silent out of a desire to see the world rid of worms and the valley peaceful again. Such doubts would not have prevented him from fighting on. The stakes were too great. However, there was a puppet master, Fable Raven, who was drawn to feelings of ill will. He amplified Thunderlord's doubts and spread them among the valley folk, sowing distrust. What was Raven's aim? Did he want to give the worms victory by causing the Ally of Justice to disband? Or did he only seek to weaken threats before the Fable launched their full-scale invasion? Most likely it was neither. Raven took diabolical pleasure in fostering hostility and seeing what fruit could be born. This may have been all that motivated him. In any case, his wicked game dealt a severe blow to Mist Valley. Mist Valley had become isolated because of Raven. Without aid from the other Ally of Justice tribes, a hard fight lay ahead. The worm nests again began to spread until they occupied a fifth of the area. Not even the valley's largest and mightiest creatures, the mist worms, were a match for the worm forces. After a mist worm was defeated, its colossal corpse gave nutrition to the invaders, enabling them to grow and multiply. A second and third fell, and the worm's strength but grew. It seemed they would soon overrun everything. Would the valley folk fight until the bitter end in defense of their home? Or would they flee from the infestation and seek shelter elsewhere? Battered and exhausted, they faced a deep crisis. And just then, there arrived a group of soaring knights, a mighty gale following in their wake. They were the Dragunity, spoken of in legends. Inhabitants of the Dragon Ravine in a distant part of the valley, they had become borderline mythical after years in obscurity. They had ascended to become Dragunity knights through their secret knowledge of dragon mastery. Realizing the grave situation the valley faced, they had come to fight. They led the charge and drove back the worms. Inspired by their bravery, the valley folk took up arms with renewed vigor. The valley was swiftly cleared of worms. And once victory was secured, the Dragunity knights departed in a flash. They had saved the valley, but that was not all. Their overpowering dragonic aura dispelled the fable's curse on the valley folk. Having returned to their senses, they were welcomed back into the Alley of Justice, just as the final clash with the worms was looming. Okay, let's give this a shot.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at him.
It's kind of a crude way of using this deck. I've seen other people use it so effectively. Like I said, it's kind of crude.
I've never backed down from a challenge, and I don't plan to start today.
I'm gonna go play more Dungeon Dice Monsters right after this because it's been a minute. Can't attack. Well, no, hey, you could attack directly. Yeah, I can still attack directly because it had the normal materials on it. Okay, one more match. Getting lucky with these coin toss. Got so unlucky with the hand. Necro Valley would have been useful on this one. That's alright. Still want to try to get that soul burner, some more soul burner cards, but also Usako or uh crap. What was that main guy from Vrains? Get his cards. Usako, yeah, I got that right. But they got some new cards for Shark. Oh, speaking of which, Cutter Shark. Yeah, we got some new, like, upgraded shark decks. Shark Drake, Levice, Levirtue. Don't know where the le's coming from. So, Big Jaws, a better version of Big Jaws. Hopefully get like a tornado wall so I can add it to my freaking deck. But I think I got more better guarantee this time around of getting rank up Baron's Force. Yeah. Yeah, because I want to, because my I got a solid water deck. I just don't want to use it competitively yet until I get that tornado wall trap card. Because then I feel like, okay, I am just like dominate. Blackwing booby trap. Yeah, but it's so specific sometimes. Anyways. Anyway, all right. I'll be back in a little bit. I'll play some more Dungeon Dice Monsters. Going to that Gamma tournament. We'll see if I can make it through unscathed. I won't say unscathed, but just make it through. But in any case, I will see you guys in a little bit.